Hey everyone, Rushlock here, and today's post from Rixx Javix is the Mythic Quest. If you're enjoying these read-alongs and sharing thoughts and feedback about them, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, leave a comment, and hit the like button. And if you have any posts you'd like me to read out and go over and review and discuss, make sure to post them on the Discord, also linked below the video. Today is the Mythic Quest from Rixx Javix. This was suggested by Eve Player, who had posted the 15-minute video before that. I'm sorry, Xenontex, not Eve Player, Xenontex. So thank you for the suggestion. Let's get into it. The Mythic Quest. Thanks to everyone who reached out to me yesterday, in-game, and on Discord regarding my last post. I'm glad it meant something to you and helped in some way to contextualize the game. Yesterday's post was a continuation of the post before it, and this one today is another in that series. This post is not about how complicated combat in EVE has become, or about bad luck, however. Today's post is intended to properly place you into that context in a way that perhaps you haven't considered before, and hopefully by introducing a new concept into your brain, get you to better understand what it is you are doing inside of EVE Online. Thing is, you are the most important player in all of EVE Online. This goes against everything you have been taught and bombarded with over the years when it comes to our perception of how EVE Online works. Immediately, you probably thought of a few names, an FC or a CSM member, or an infamous pirate lord who writes a blog and does artwork, or some famous nullsec alliance leader, and while those players might be famous or infamous, that is not the same thing at all, because I'm not talking about something else, or because I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about, quote-unquote, importance. And of course, you are the most important player in the game. You have to be. Okay, so let's back up a second and talk about reality. In real life, you are the only person that truly matters. You might not think this, and that is understandable. Sadly, we aren't taught this much. But without you, reality, for all intents and purposes, ceases to exist, and nothing else matters anymore. When you blink out of existence someday, and hopefully far into the future, the whole of reality essentially goes with you. The universe may or may not continue, but as far as you're concerned, it doesn't matter. When other people blink out of existence, the universe seems to continue, but that is only because you are still around to experience it. Their reality is gone. And that is enough philosophy for today. This train of thought could go on, but we're talking about a video game here, so let's get back to it. Before the moment, think about Eve in that context. You are the center of the universe. Inside of New Eden, it is your experience. It is your game. Everyone else, at least inside of the game, are simply players in the reality that circles around you. I really love this train of thought because, especially in EVE Online, it truly centers everything that happens where it needs to be, around you as the player of your own game. When you log into EVE, you log into your personal Mythic Quest. Pretty cool, huh? Thing is, though, and here's the tricky mind-bending bit, everyone else is doing the exact same thing. Everyone else playing EVE is on their own Mythic Quest. Thousands of us out in space, docked up in station, cloaked in a safe, scanning for missions, mining ore, moving assets, planning fleets, smart mobbing pods, camping gates, declaring war, learning to fly a frigate, training skills, injecting boosters. Every single player is currently involved in their own grand, epic, and adventurous Mythic Quest. And for each of them, they are the center of the universe. Every player, from their perspective, is the most important player in all of EVE Online. Now the cool part is, what kind of epic Mythic Quest do you want to be a part of? Do you want to pursue your quest alone against the universe? Or would you prefer to align with others and try to achieve that quest together? At least for a time. I personally believe that it is better to align with other players of similar goals and mindsets, working together to achieve some goals, or at least to have someone to talk to. Quests are better together, and this gets us all the way back around to friendship machines and other topics, but those are not the focus of this post. Because my challenge today isn't about corporations and alliances, or how important a few famous players may or may not be, or any of those things, my challenge today was to lay the groundwork for changing your perception about how you fit into the universe and, by understanding how important you are, to help you realize that everyone in the game is experiencing it in the same way as you. And that, for them and for you, that perception is actually their own reality, and that reality is equally as important as your own. I strongly believe that mindset, that you are the most important player in all of EVE Online. Maybe not the most famous, or the best FC, or the most skilled combat pilot, or greatest miner, or whatever, but the center of your own universe, the main player in the book being written about your own Mythic Quest. That mindset is one you should own and remember as you log into the game, and consider when you encounter other players busily at work on their own Mythic quests. I think it helps to add context and frame your interactions and your expectations. When you log out, Eve does continue, but it only truly comes alive when you are logged in. The only remaining question then is this: what kind of Mythic quest are you on? So, before I lose track of it, I want to point back to something real quick, and hopefully Rixx or Xenon Tech or someone else listening to this can help direct me to something he references and talks about the friendship machine. Here it is, friendship machines and other topics. I recently had some thoughts and some ideas that may correlate with that, and I know once I cut this video and I'll forget and I'll move on. But yeah, if you guys have the links to anything he's written about friendship machines, feel free to share that as well. I like this idea of a series of posts that you can definitely read individually, and they have context and they have worth and they have value, and then you can also click back to older posts and see how they kind of chain together. I like that idea. As far as the point itself, and I think I understand what Rixx is trying to say here, is also to make sure, at least this is my interpretation, also to make sure that when you're logging into Eve and you're investing your time into something that has worth and value to you. There's a common meme or stereotype that we pass around in Eve as an F1 monkey. You log in when you're told to. You lock up what you're told to. You press F1 at what you're told to. And that's the nature of larger scale PvP fleets in EVE Online. There's nothing wrong with that. But it would be very easy to not be attached to your character or your story or your narrative or your, in this case, Mythic quest about your character and your goals and your ambitions in the game if that becomes all that you do. And I mean, Rixx is pretty succinct here and pretty clear about just getting you to think about why are you logging in. Not what are you going to do when you log in, but why are you logging in? Even if it's only for 15 minutes, and click, update some skills or orders or respond to some in-game messages, whatever the case may be. Not what are you doing, but why are you doing it? And that why is a very, very significant element in terms of retention. Players can figure out the what's. They can talk about the what's with each other. But if you can't figure out a why, or if CCP through happenstance or lack or whatever, it's not about blame, it's just narrating CCP just offers a list of whys for you to pick from, right? But ultimately, you've got to take a what and kind of turn it into a why. And so maybe CCP's job is more about providing enough what's or a wider variety of what's to give you your why. And something else that I think Rixx, intentionally or unintentionally, touches on here is remembering that other people's whys are not necessarily going to be your why, and that's fine. People don't need to play the game or do things the way that you do them or appreciate the same things that you do. And if we zoom back or step back in the way that Rixx did, philosophically, that can also apply to life as well. You're going to like different types of music, you're going to like different types of movies, you're going to like different types of books, and it's totally fine for that to be the case. The important part when you're sharing these experiences is knowing why you're doing it, not just what you're doing, and hopefully not for the min-maxing, ISK chasing that I commonly run into when talking to nerds getting into EVE. But I like the post, and hopefully you did as well. And if you have more recommendations and suggestions, put them in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next one.